Hello, sleepers, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to my Dune Awakening content. So, it's been a minute since I've been seriously making content about Dune. I had to step away and take a little break. Sorry for that. I was kind of a little frustrated with some of the design directions in the direction of the game that was taking and some of the decisions that were being made. And I decided to go ahead and take a break for just a few weeks, but I'm back loving it again, enjoying it. It's amazing what a little break will do for you when you need to recharge your fuel cells. So, one of the things that you may have seen in the news recently was the big announcement that hit yesterday about the change in design to the way some bases are being made. In specific, they're talking about the way that some people are making Pentashield bases that are Pentashield only. And the way they're being designed, they are not feasible for PvP combat. And the developers have decided that they're going to make some changes about that. Now, whenever I was first reading that announcement, I was like, okay, that's wonderful. Let's do that, whatever. I couldn't really, get my head around why it was such a big deal because I haven't been in the game for a little bit. And at that time, I had not really been on the scene in the deep desert, so I didn't really know what was going on with that whole issue. Um, I do get it now. After talking to some of my guildmates, they said, "No, Mirandus, you just don't get it. What's going on with the Pentashield bases." They said you can't even break into them. They're just pretty much impregnable. And I get it now why they want to actually make that change. At first I couldn't really like I said, wrap my head around it because I've watched the developers allow things like thopter surfing. I mean, they said that they wanted to leave that in the game because they thought it was fun. So when you have mechanics like that are left in the game, and then you look at something like just basically building a base with the use of pentashields, and you're like, well, why is that such a big deal? Why would they allow people to surf on thopters, which opens up whole new mechanics as far as PvP combat and hand rocket combat and that kind of thing? And then you would turn around and tell people they couldn't build bases with only pentashields. Well, I get it now. I get it. I truly do. And I got to looking around in the deep desert today, and I actually, after the PvE line on the E section where you hit the PvE line and then it transfers over into PvP, I saw so many bases that were made with Pentashield only designs, and I truly understand now why it's such a big deal. Because some of my guildmates were telling me, yeah, we were standing there, two or three of us with las guns, firing down on the Pentashield while the storm had just ended, and in 5 minutes they couldn't take one down. So I get it, how big of a deal it is right now. It's actually something that is really hindering the PvP combat, because if you're going to build your base inside the PvP area of the deep desert, then you're basically saying, hey, I want to engage in combat. I want to engage in base raiding. I'm willing to take the risk on stuff like that. That's pretty much what you have to adhere to if you're going to be in that space, because those are the mechanics that the development team are allowing. And it's totally fine if that's what you're into. A lot of people come from a background of things like Rust and stuff like that, and they really enjoy that type of interaction. So, saying that you want to do that and then turning around and building a structure like a Pentashield only base that does not allow for it to even be rated is just, it's not cool to go ahead and allow, especially when you've designed your game around wanting to ensure that that kind of combat does happen. You've created a space where you want people to be able to engage in combat in the deep desert. You want to make sure things like that don't happen. So it's cool. I understand why they do it now. Let's actually take a minute to look at the actual announcement and see what they have to say about it. It's the upcoming change to Pentashield only bases. And I tell you what, before I get into this, let me drop down inside the base real quick so I don't die from heat stroke while I'm not paying attention, because I had a full heat stroke meter there. So yeah, that was probably a good idea to do that. But let's go back and let's look at the announcement. It's the upcoming change to Pentashield only bases. Now, if you're someone that follows the game really close, you probably already know this, but I wanted to make sure that anybody in my viewership that wasn't aware of this announcement knows about it, because this is going to be part of the upcoming 1.1.20 patch that's currently on the testing servers right now. It is live. And they're saying that with that patch, which is scheduled to drop on August the 12th. Now, whether or not that patch makes it on August the 12th is to be seen, because, you know, they could discover a lot of bugs that cause them to delay that patch and cause them to have to go back to the drawing board on a few things. But that's what the whole testing process is about. So if you're testing on the testing server and you're testing this new patch out, thank you very much, because you're helping make the game be better. So kudos to you. But with the upcoming 1.1.20 patch, we are making a change that will fix a bug that allowed building pentashields without proper support. As a consequence, all pentashields built in this way will collapse when the patch goes live. If you have any pentashields built this way, not attached to the walls, but, you know, basically attached to each other, please rebuild them properly to avoid losing your base. And they're basically, you know, they're saying please. They're basically telling you right here that if this patch goes live and your base goes down, you're on your own. They're not going to replace your items or your vehicles or anything like that, because this is actually what they consider a bug. It's not a design mechanic in any shape or form, because they want bases to be raidable. That if you're in the PvP area of the deep desert, that's the whole point of the storm knocking out the shields for 6 minutes so that people can actually have a chance to raid. So they're basically telling you, you know, please rebuild, because once the patch goes live, you're going to lose your stuff if you don't. The current ETA for the patch, just like we talked about, is August 12th. And in the meanwhile, 1.1.20 is also available in the public test client now. You can read more about it here. And then they, you know, that's basically the end of the announcement. We won't go into detail on the patch notes of the patch, because I've already put out a video on that. And trust me, I could probably put out another video on that, because there is so much stuff that's going on in that patch that's getting updated that, I mean, it's just crazy. So just wanted to put out this public service announcement to all my people out there, all the sleepers that watch my channel. I really appreciate you. But I wanted to let you know, if you have your bases built that way, you know, do something about it, because on August the 12th, you're going to lose anything that type of build is protecting. So want to make sure that you do something about that. So thank you very much for watching my content today. I really appreciate you being here. If you found this content interesting or informative in any way, then I would appreciate it if you'd hit a like and a subscribe, and think about hitting that bell so you'd be notified when I make any future content on Dune Awakening. Really appreciate your time. It's the weekend. Go out there and hang out with your families and have a good time, and I'll see you in another video about Dune Awakening coming soon. Peace.